2 weeks ago we recorded last time, and let me tell you, after we recorded, I was sitting in this chair
Yes.
and I stood up, threw my back out, threw my back out for 2 weeks.
Just from sitting in the chair recording a podcast?
I woke up with a small twinge in my back,
Yep.
sleeping funny. Sat and recorded the podcast. Got out of this chair, dead, died.
I I want to laugh at you. Like in my heart I want to laugh at you. But we've been sleeping on the couch on and off for 6 weeks now.
Right.
And one morning I woke up and just couldn't look left. Just couldn't turn my neck left.
Like Batman.
Literally walking around like I had to drive the boys to school and you have to like crane your entire shoulder around while trying to hold on to the steering wheel, like trying to
Right.
it was awful. So I want to laugh and I want to make fun of you, but who amongst us, you know?
You know what? It's been a real, and I was like, you know what? I'm fine. Let me go work out. And I went to pick up my
Mm,
barbell, and I was like, nope, can't do that. And
nope.
then I was like, you know what? I'll go to work where I now work at a home improvement store. Can't pick up any tiles.
Oh
Everything
no.
hurts. It's
Ugh.
been a real nightmare. Thank goodness for ibuprofen and coffee.
Don't get old, folks. Don't get old.
Yeah, stop that. What are you thinking? Just cut it out.
Ugh.
Yeah, real nightmare. But I'm back to walking
You're back, huh?
like a normal human. I'm back.
You're back.
Dads.
Welcome to Big Dad Energy, the journey of parenting and adulting through the eyes of two young dads. I'm your co-host Joe Lopez, and with me, as always, is my co-dad, Jared Szymanski. Jared, how the heck are you?
Joseph, I'm good. I'm good. I am constantly always tired, but I'm good.
Yeah, yeah. It's been that way for like 5 years.
It has, and I keep thinking it's going to get better. You know, every around the corner it's just going to get better. Um and then I love parenting TikToks. I get quite a few of them. Um
Yeah.
and there's a lot of funny people on there. And one guy was like, "Oh, we finally got our 3-year-old to sleep in their bed overnight." And I was like, "That's a
Okay.
dream. If I could do that, if I could have my almost 3-year-old sleep in his bed throughout the night, that would be great." He goes, and that lasted one night, and then the next night he came into our bed and his 6-year-old sister also came into our bed, and then all of us were sleeping in the same bed. I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right. It doesn't actually peace doesn't actually exist. It's a figment of everyone's imagination. There is no peace. You just
Yeah.
survive."
It's a real nightmare. Um, Granted, I love cuddling the kids. Last
Yes.
week, I was the catalyst for my children sleeping in my bed. Um, but last week was the first week where Grayson slept in my bed every night. Normally,
Mm,
he refuses
yeah.
and just wants to be in his bed, but every night, regardless, Cora is stumbling her way into that bed, and it's a nightmare.
I Here's my hang up. First off, it's been 2.5 years that I've had a child in my bed every night. So that's one of it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Um, on the other hand, is Will is old enough now that he'll start in his bed and then end up in our bed at like 1 o'clock in the morning, just on
yeah.
cue. But he's old enough now that he's too big to act little, if that makes sense, right?
Yes.
So what he does is he puts his feet up against you and wants to cuddle with his feet up against you. I'm like, dude,
Yes.
you
Oh
are
my
taking
god.
up 80% of the bed. You're kicking me in the middle of the night. Or like he wants to put his hands like he wants to like snuggle you, right? So he wants to put I'll like sleep on my side away from him with my back facing him. And all of a sudden I'll just
Yeah.
feel little fingernails on my side overnight as he tries to wiggle his hand underneath me. I'm like, dude, it is 3 o'clock in the morning. I've gotten 2 hours of sleep. I need you just to like not for a little while.
E Oh, it's rough. Cora, and Kayla, I guess, used to do this too. Cora puts her feet like under my butt
Yeah.
while I sleep,
Will does that too.
and Grayson puts his in between like my knees.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
They're just
and
sandwiched in there.
yeah, and it's tough, but yeah, that's rough. First off, Will being 2.5, disgusting.
Brother, 3 in September.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I still picture Will as a tiny bald baby.
In some ways, he still is. In his heart of hearts, he's still the tiny bald baby.
Right.
Refuses to believe he's a middle child. Just refuses to believe it.
Poor guy.
He the other day, I was saying, "Oh, I have to pick up the baby," and he came up and said, "I'm the baby. I'm the baby." I'm like, brother, if you can form the sentence to say "I'm the baby," you're not the baby any longer. I'm sorry to tell
That
you.
ain't you, bud. That
Uh,
ain't you.
and so he's just constantly refusing to believe that he's a middle child. So it's wild. Ben turns 5 in August. That's gonna be weird.
Crazy.
We were just talking today. Actually, we're gonna be in this spot in the fall. So Will be 3 and going to half day preschool like Ben goes to now. Ben will be
Yeah.
5 going to junior kindergarten. So he'll be in
Yeah.
5 days all day. And then the baby, Katie's mom's gonna watch the baby this next year, which is super helpful, unbelievably helpful.
Yeah.
And it's just gonna be this crazy spot where like Ben's gonna be in actual school doing actual school things all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's it sucks to like because they're growing up, right? But man, is it cool? Because like you think he's so smart now, but then the minute he comes home and like is bringing home worksheets that he's done at
Mm-hmm.
school or homework,
Yeah.
in quotation, it's like wild how quickly things just like progress and like the brains that these kids have on them.
What's blown me away so far, it's so as they grow older, the like shocking developments are fewer and far between, right? Like
Yeah.
Parker's 6, almost 7 weeks. Today she was laying on her back and rolled all the way, her hips rolled over and was just trapped with her arm, right? And like that's a huge thing for a 6-week-old to like flip her
Yeah.
hips over when she's going from laying on her back. Um, those kind of things happen all the time when they're babies. With Ben, it's been a long time since I've been like shocked at something. Like, granted,
Totally.
his speech, I'm always impressed with his speech because it started so
Yeah.
rough. So now when he really does a good job, like with his S's or W's, like that does impress me. But he's been super into reading or listening to chapter books. So Katie,
Oh, cool.
because she's a teacher and this is apparently what teachers do, has every single Magic Treehouse book known to man.
Oh, okay.
All like 125 of them. I'm not exaggerating. There are
Yeah.
125 of these books. Um, and like over Christmas break, she brought them upstairs, and Ben started by like looking through them and finding the pictures, and that was great. And then he would ask us to read them,
Hmm.
and so we started reading them, and now that's all he wants to do. He just wants to sit and listen to you read a book, and he'll just sit there and listen
Yeah.
as you read a book. And I'm like, this is nuts because soon enough he's gonna start reading them by himself, and
Yeah.
um, that'll be really nice when he can sit down and sit and read by himself.
Crazy. Yeah, Cora's reading, which is I don't know if I said this 2 weeks ago or not, but like she's reading books, like
It's wild.
like not the long ones, but
No.
like they're called like Bob books. They're made to work on vowel noises and sounds and
Mhm.
mouth shapes. So you have some that are focused on like cat, some that are focused on like dog,
Yeah.
like that kind
Yep.
of stuff. But yeah, she's recognizing words. She's just picking up books and reading them. She's playing video games and crazy thing to say, playing video games, but like reading signs and stuff in there.
But it's funny you bring up video games too. It's funny because I mentioned yesterday that Ben learned how to
Yeah.
use both sticks at the same time on a controller. He was running around in Harry Potter and he learned how to use the other stick, which is hilarious. But I video gaming has been always been my hobby, and it's like one of my biggest hobbies. And I have always kind of grappled with like, we don't do a lot of screen time in our house, so it's like it's not as if it's like, oh, let's just break out, the video game and try it this way. But I've let him, like, Fortnite came out with a racing mode, and he loves cars, so I let
Yeah.
him like drive around in the racing mode and things like that. And I've kicked around like maybe I should buy Mario Kart and put the Switch on the TV so
Yeah.
that they can play it. Um, and but it is crazy because I've always kicked around like, what age do video games start? I've been playing as long as I can remember, but like, you have no idea like what is a video game age. Some of the streamers and YouTubers are like, oh, my kid's been playing video games since they were 2. Well, okay, that's literally
Yeah.
your job is to play video games, so it does not surprise me that your child also
Right.
picked it up. But like, yeah, what is that time? What is that age that they start to get interested in video games, want to play video games and things like that? I'm also not ready to have that conversation around like, okay, you can play Minecraft for an hour, but then we got to be done, and things like that. That is the next challenge I'm not ready to handle just yet.
Yeah, that's tough. Cora loves to play Roblox. It's fun because there's some games that we can play together.
Hmm.
That are like there's moments that are a little too tough, so like I can take the controller and play with her. But for the most part, if she has like a good chunk of video game time, I'm like, hey, we gotta switch it off. Grayson needs to watch something on TV now, or Grayson gets to pick something, or we have to leave and pick Grayson, like whatever it may be.
Yeah.
She'll put up a fight and then she's generally good with it after that. But yeah, it's interesting. I feel like her hand-eye coordination though is getting better,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yep.
she's moving 2 sticks while also jumping and pressing square. Like so she's like getting the hang of the whole concept of a controller, which is kind of cool.
Nuts. It's cool. It's really cool to see. It's cool to watch. The boys are super into Legos too.
Yeah,
But for hand-eye coordination, but they're also at the destructive age. So Will more than Ben, but
yeah.
it's both at the same time. It's like
I'm not giving those kids Legos.
I, you know, one of my hobbies. I like mini
Yes.
Legos, right? I'll pull one up for the YouTube viewers. Um, so like my favorite are the mini Star Wars Legos. They have a whole bunch of the
Yeah.
mini Star Wars Legos. Ben, when he was home a lot in the fall when Jen had her knee surgery, he would come to my desk when I was working and sit on my lap and grab my little Lego like things, and he'd play
Hmm.
nicely with them for a while, and then eventually they started breaking because he was playing with them a lot.
Yeah.
And I just gave them to him. I was like, I kept this one because that was my most recent one, but like this Millennium Falcon I have here is not at all what the Millennium Falcon's supposed to look like in the end. Because it's missing a bunch of parts. Um, and so now we put together like a basket of Legos for Ben that he can just like destroy all
Nice.
these little pieces. And he got some Legos for Christmas that I built for him that he immediately destroyed. He got a race car. Took me way too long to build this race car that's supposed to be for 5-year-olds.
Right.
He broke it within an hour. Within an hour, he crashed it into the wall and broke it. And I was like, "Yep, all right, just gotta. That's what parenting is. Just gotta move on."
Yeah.
But so that's kind of his current hobby. Will just does whatever Ben does. Will doesn't have individual
Right.
hobbies. I have you noticed? Does Grayson play pretty well by himself?
It depends.
Okay.
So if Cora is taking over the TV, which she does most times, he'll either sit and watch with her or he'll like pull out his Nightmare Before Christmas train or books or toys and just kind of fiddle around. So he does play by himself,
Yeah.
but then there's moments where like they'll kind of start playing together and Cora will like switch on a dime where she's like, I want to be by myself. And Grayson
Mm,
just starts to like follow her around the house and doing
yeah.
things. And she like will yell and like get very mad at him for doing that. So I have to sit with Gray and be like, boundaries. If she doesn't want to play,
Yeah.
like,
You have to let
it's
her.
okay. And then he has a breakdown. But for the most part, if he is in the zone and playing, like he'll play by himself without much issue.
We cannot get Will to play by himself when he's alone. Like so, Monday mornings and Friday mornings, it
Yeah.
is well right now with the baby, and honestly it'll be this way until the fall now. But it's Katie, the baby, and Will, right?
Yeah.
And like I said, we don't watch a ton of TV in the house. So when Ben goes to school, it's like, all right, Will, sit down and like we have all these toys. We got train tracks and Magnetiles and things like that. Can you, why don't you build a Magnetile tower? Why don't you build a train track? Nothing. Ben will do it automatic, like, because Ben wakes up so early in the morning. I'll be sitting on the couch trying to sleep with the baby. I'll be like, hey, bud, just like get your train tracks out. And I'll wake up and suddenly there's an entire living room covered in like a big train track that he's driving his trains around. I'm like, he does a great job with
Yeah.
it. We just cannot get Will right now to sit down and play with toys by himself. He's just so
Yeah.
used to having Ben there driving the play that like I don't know if he's just like hasn't put two and two together that he can do it, or if he just doesn't have a lot of interest in it, right?
Right.
Maybe a little bit. It's obviously probably a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just cannot get him to play by himself. He does a great job at Katie's mom's house. When he goes to Katie's mom's house, he'll
Yeah.
get toys out and play by himself. It's just at home, he'll just sit there and beg for TV for like 2 hours, and it's like,
Oh,
brother,
really?
this is not TV time. We hardly ever watch TV during the day. Like, this is not TV time. And he's like, he'll sit there and beg and beg and beg until either you like sit down and do something with him, and then he wants to destroy it, right? Like Katie built a Magnetile like tower with him today, and he just knocked it all over. Didn't want
Right.
to play, just wanted to destroy. And so we're just like in this weird spot because Ben always played really well by himself. Older child things, right? Like all he
Yeah.
had was himself to play with, even when William was a baby, right? William's always had Ben. So like in these
Yeah.
times that he's by himself, and even when he like goes to daycare, he has all his friends at daycare that they play together and they do all that stuff. So like he just doesn't
Right.
he hasn't learned how to just like sit down and play by himself without like
Yeah.
Ben being around.
Is there I mean, is there like when he does play, is there toys that he kind of gravitates towards? Or does he have like a preference of like play, if that makes sense?
I don't know. That's a good question.
You, my thought
He's
was, sorry to interrupt you,
no,
but
go
like my
ahead.
thought was like, what if you were like, Ben, why don't we see if Will wants to tell you what he wants to play with? And you guys can play
Mm,
together, but it's what Will wants to play with,
it's a
kind of
good idea.
thing, to see if maybe that somehow gets some gears turning like, hey, I can pick some toys that I want to play with, but I'm going to play with Ben. And then maybe down the line, it's like, oh, I can just play with these toys by myself, kind of thing.
It's a good idea. It's a really good idea. I haven't tried that. And I will try that because it truly has been like a weird um the Bluey episode, right? Where Bluey has to let Bingo find her voice. My house is like
Yeah.
that right now. My kids, for better or for worse, are very Bluey and Bingo coded.
Yeah.
And so Ben a lot of times be like, "Come on, Pootie, let's play with trains or let's play with Magtiles." Um, but not a lot of the other way around, right? And so that's a good
Yeah.
idea to try and be like, "Hey, why don't we play what William wants to play today and see what he wants to play and go from there." Um,
Yeah, there might be a way to make a game out of it with Ben, just because the fear is like that Ben goes, well, I want to play with what I want to play with, and I
yeah.
want him to play with what I want, Um, so there's that fear because like I have that fear with Cora sometimes too, like saying like, all right, let's play with what Grayson wants to do, and then my fear is like she's saying no, I don't want to do that, like,
It's
and
it's very funny. You and I are both younger siblings.
yeah,
I'm a middle child, and you're the youngest, right?
basically an only child.
And I am so conscious of like not letting Will be bossed around. Like we don't want to be bossy. We don't want to like, because Ben will, he'll just take over and like do the whole
Yeah,
thing. And I feel like that's like a younger child worry is to worry about,
yeah,
the little one getting bossed around. Um but I do that same reason of like I don't want Will to just only do what Ben wants to do, right? Not just,
yeah,
not that I'm worried about him in the long run. Like this isn't his whole life he's only going to follow Ben around. He might only follow Ben around, but like that's not the end of the world. I just
no.
worry now like when he is alone and has his alone time, he just doesn't do anything with it. He just waits for somebody to tell him where to go and what to do.
Yeah, yeah. So that's where, my thought was like maybe if you do this kind of guided play of like let's let Will pick something out and see if Ben can get behind that, maybe that will
Mhm.
slowly, incorporate something. I'm assuming you guys do like toy rotations or something,
Yeah,
like
we have upstairs and downstairs toys that we move back and forth.
yeah.
Will does really like the kitchen. We have a kitchen down here in the basement, and he likes playing with
Yeah.
that. And so I would get him when it was just him and I alone. When he was home on those Mondays and Fridays, and I had to work, I would get him to play on the kitchen a lot of the time. Um,
Yeah.
but not for super long. But that's also there are some toys he is interested in. It's just hard to get him to be interested in them for any stretch of time.
Right. Now, where do your kids lie on like arts and crafts time?
So my kids love art. Love it. Love it.
Hmm.
Like Ben today at school, his teacher's like he spent a really long he walked out with what he called a bracelet, which was a sheet of paper wrapped in pipe
I
cleaners
love
that he
that.
made into a bracelet. So it was a bracelet dangling down with a full 8 by 11 sheet of paper taped full of things.
Love
And he
that.
goes, "Look, Dad, my bracelet." And I'm like, "That's some bling, man. That is." Um, and so my kids love arts and crafts. Ben specifically, Ben loves. We have like, actually, we just had to switch. We had a bunch of washable markers, but they took all the caps off and left them places. So for Easter,
Oh,
they,
of
they
course.
got clickable washable markers. They make like,
Oh,
uh,
that is smart.
yeah. So that now, so we have a whole basket in our kitchen that is full of printer paper, color. Katie, obviously, being a teacher, has a infinite supplies of colored papers.
Yeah.
So we have colored paper in there, printer paper. They have a drawing pad that has like terrible paper and things like that. Um, Katie actually for Christmas got this really great gift for Ben. It was a cutting book. So it was a book with a page, and you rip the page out, and it had shapes that you cut and then tape together to make a picture.
Yeah,
So it's
that's
a
cool.
picture deconstructed, and then you cut it out, and we have like kid scissors that he can use. Um, so Ben loves art, all of that. Ben loves art, and William loves it because Ben loves it, right? Not
Yeah.
um. We do run into the problem that art is very messy, like extremely messy. No matter what you do, I mean, there's marker on the wall, there's chalk all over everywhere, there's little bits of paper from the cutting things and
Yeah.
all that stuff. And so it's not unlimited art, right? The kids can't do it. They can draw whenever they want. That's totally fine. But like some of the other stuff, they also really like not it's like tangential to arts and crafts, but they like these sensory bins that Katie has that are full of
Yeah.
like kinetic sand and rice and things like that.
Right.
Um, but they dump those all over the floor, so those are also
Of
very
course.
limited. Um,
Yeah.
so all that to say, they love it. They love art. We have a whole big bin of it. It's just hard to police um,
Yeah.
while trying to keep the house in relatively decent shape.
Yeah. So my question off of that was like, is that something else that would interest Will to do by himself? Is like some sort of arts and crafts. Like I have a blue file cabinet, like a small plastic one right next to
Hmm.
me that Kayla and I used to keep all of our actual files in.
Yeah,
Um, I've since turned it into their art drawers, I
containers.
guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I have stacks of construction paper, markers, colored pencils, crayons, and then like so many stupid stickers.
Oh my God, stickers galore. The Spider-Man stickers
Oh,
floating around this house are innumerable. They're just
yeah.
everywhere.
Here's the good ones. For Grayson's birthday, he got Halloween stickers.
Of course. Why wouldn't he get Halloween stickers a month and a half after Halloween or 2 months after Halloween was over?
Yeah. So honestly, the kids like they just grab stickers and just slap them on stuff. But
Hmm.
Cora's getting good at drawing, so she likes to draw butterflies. So they
Oh,
make different
cool.
kinds of butterflies for me. So maybe with Will, like, what's it? First question, saying like, "Hey, Will, can you draw me a picture of XYZ and like I'll hang it up somewhere." And second, how's your communication style with Will? Like, does it click with him? Like when you ask him like, "Can you do this for me or do that for me?" Does he like
I want to say
grasp
yes.
that?
Yes, he does. He follows. He will do favors and things that you ask him to. He's in a jerk phase right now, like a major jerk phase right now.
Those twos.
I'm telling you, it is. He's coming up on 3, and I'm pretty sure he's hitting it early. Like
Yeah.
he just trying to get. We talked about we were supposed to record last night, and I was like, oh no, he napped at daycare, which means he's gonna be.
Yeah,
He was awake till 9 and just being a jerk about it. The whole, like, wanted to go to bed at 7, but won't fall asleep until 9, and keeps like
crazy.
asking to go to bed, but like won't. He just wants to roll around and be crazy and kick and yell in his bed. It's like, brother, this is not. So he's just in a big jerk phase. Like today, Katie asked him to do something, and he puts on this angry voice. He goes, "No," and yells. Call it his jerk voice. Um, and so he the answer to your question is, if he wants to, yeah, absolutely, he'll do it. He's just in a jerk phase
Yeah.
of trying. So that's a separate thing. That's not one of those things I'm not worried about, because those just
Yeah.
those just come and go. He'll be in a jerk phase for a while, and then he'll be in a super sweet phase for a while, and then whatever
Yeah.
comes next. But yeah, I think it's a good idea to like see if having Ben ask Will what he wants to do, and then do that, and see if Will can start to generate some ideas like by himself and go from
Yeah.
there. It's just a really like, it's a stark difference at how well like Ben, we can just be like, hey, why don't you get some train tracks out and build that, and he'll build this massive great train track. Today he got this like double decker bus for Christmas. He put the train tracks in the double decker bus. I was like, look, the train tracks are running through the bus, and I was like, that's really neat, like really cool. And Will just like, Will, why don't you get some cars out? No. And it's like, all right, well, there goes that idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, so parenting,
It
it's so much fun.
it is. It's crazy, and I kind of like that this episode kind of progressed into like self play. What do our kids do for self play, and
I
like
know
how
it.
do they tackle that? Um, Ben was very much truck guy,
Yes.
big machine guys,
Vehicles.
especially at like 2 and 3. Like
Hmm.
he liked that stuff. Is Will the same, or are there things like, is it animals, dinosaurs?
He's a fan of trucks. Him and
Yeah,
Ben like those. Maybe because Ben liked them, and
right.
so Will saw him liking those. Like, we had a backhoe driving down our street today. Not uncommon for some reason. We live next to a train yard, and there's big machines all over the place. Um,
Yeah,
and like he got super excited about it in the school bus, in the garbage truck. And so like he likes seeing them. Um, he doesn't play with them as much as Ben did. Like, we have a whole basket of cars and trucks, and he'll play
yeah,
with them with Ben, but like not so much of like, oh, I can get my cars out and play with my cars and things like that. But they are there are points. It's funny. It's almost like you don't want to bite off more than you can chew, and they're
right.
starting to get to the point where they can play together nicely.
Hmm.
And so it's like, okay, well, if at least if they play together nicely, then we can start working on independent play after
Yeah,
that. But they will, like, Ben will get the basket of cars out, and they'll load up trucks and line up cars and like create a parking lot, because apparently that's their favorite thing to do, is just to line up all their cars and have a parking lot. Um, yeah, 5-year-old, 5 and 3-year-old boys, it's something else.
yeah,
Um, and so, yeah, so like I said, they'll play. They're starting to be able to play together, which is great. It's just trying to get Will to do that without Ben around. That's the next challenge.
yeah, for sure. Well, hopefully that transition happens soon, and hopefully Will comes up with something that he likes. Uh, who knows? Maybe he'll. Well, I guess Ben likes sports. I was gonna say maybe Will be your sports guy, but
Did I tell you? Maybe not. Um, when right after we recorded, Will had his first football practice. So we
oh,
got
okay.
so
Will or Ben?
okay, so both. Ben plays soccer, and we
Right.
have him in like a weekly flag football program where he just kind of learns um how to throw and catch a ball, and what a center does, and what a quarterback does, what a running back is, right? Like little things like that. And Ben was just on the cusp where we could actually put him on a flag football team this spring. Where like he only
Gotcha.
did it in the fall, like he only did one class in the fall. I was like, I don't know if he's ready to make the jump to like an actual team. Whereas if
Yeah.
he can join the team in the fall and like actually play flag football in the fall, which we'll probably do. But we're like, oh great, Will is old enough for the very little kid group, like Tiny Tykes or whatever they call it. Like this is great. He's not quite old enough for soccer, so like this will be a great introduction to like getting into a sport. All they wanted to do was circle up and talk about it's okay. Like first practice, first lesson, it's hey, if somebody grabs your flag, totally okay. It's okay. No need, like that's lesson number 1 is it's okay if somebody grabs your flag, right?
Yeah.
Will would not even leave my side to go to the circle. Not like, oh, I don't want to participate. Like, I don't want to even walk away for half a second to go to the circle.
Yeah.
My stepmom was in town. Katie's mom was there. Nobody could get Will to even walk up and like half participate in the thing. And then, so that went on for 45 minutes, and then Ben's was right after for the next 45 minutes. Ben just walks right in, no big deal, forgets anybody's even there, plays for 45 minutes, bonks his head and has a little bit of trouble there, but like beyond that is totally a-okay just being by himself on his own. It's wild first and second kid stuff.
Yeah, Cora hated soccer at first. She says now that she wants to play it again, but we'll see if that's a thing. Kayla and I need to nail down the sports kind of situation, what we're going to do with them, because they're asking for everything. Cora, I think we will do gymnastics with, though. She does keep asking him about gymnastics. Grayson, who knows? We'll see what he wants to do. Hey, maybe he's the football kid.
Maybe.
Don't know. Maybe.
I'm way better with flag football than tackle football, especially at this age. I mean, I played tackle football when I started in like second grade. I started playing tackle football. Imagine the brain cells I'd still have.
Right.
And
that and wrestling.
I know it. No, the wrestling didn't kill brain cells, just broke my nose like 3 separate times.
Right.
But it is. I'm fighting this internal battle. I was actually talking to my dad about it over the weekend. Fighting this internal battle of like, I don't want to put my kids in sports just to put them in sports, right?
Right.
Like, Katie and I both agreed when we put Ben in soccer, we did that like DCFC camp when he was 2.
Yeah.
And we're like, if he doesn't like it, that'll be it. Like we're just gonna try it. We did gymnastics for a little while too, and all he wanted to do was play on the play set. And we're like, okay, so you don't like want to do gymnastics, you just want to go to the park. But Ben clearly now loves playing soccer, wants to keep playing soccer, likes football, wants to keep playing football. With Will, I want him to like do what he wants to do, but he doesn't want to do anything right now. And so we're fighting this, but not we. Katie probably doesn't feel the same way I do, but I feel because Katie wasn't really, she wasn't really forced into sports. She swam her whole life. And I don't want to say I was forced in either, but I played every sport known to man growing up.
Right.
Except basketball. Not surprising. But I played literally every sport growing up besides basketball. And so like I'm fighting this battle of like I don't want to push sports on my kids if they don't want to play it.
Yeah.
But I also want them to get outside and like do things. Like Will can't sit around the house all day every day and not have like
totally
organized activities outside of this, right? And sports are just an easy way to do that. So he's young. I don't feel like we're forcing him to do anything he doesn't want to do, right? But I do. It's something I'm going to be conscious of as they grow up of like, you don't have to do sports, even though I might want you to. And it's also, if I turn the camera back around on me, right, I need to be conscious of not pushing sports on the kids if they don't want to do it, right?
Right.
And I'm not afraid that I'm going to be like an overly bearing sports dad. Like I'm competitive when I play sports. I'm not competitive at all when the kids play sports. Like Ben will dribble the soccer ball and then kick it 3 feet wide of the net, and it'll be like, great job, you kicked it. Like that's great. So I'm not worried about that. For me, I am worried that like growing up, I literally would play 2 to 3 sports at a time. There was 1 year in middle school, I had football practice at 5:30, which meant I had from 3:30 till 5:30 free. So I joined the cross country team. Just cause.
Damn.
Because I was an insane psycho. Um, and so I just want to make sure that like the kids are doing what they want, not what
Yeah.
I think they should do, right?
Yeah, totally. Josh, my cousin Josh and I had this conversation last week where we were having lunch talking about sports. And Charlie is super athletic.
Yeah.
Jordan and Josh are like super athletic kids and adults. Charlie is so athletic, and we were talking about sports. He's, Cora and Ben's age. Um, and Josh was like, you know what? Kind of same thing. I'm not gonna force him into sports. He's like, we thought about flag football, and he's like, but I'm not gonna force him to play football. He's like, especially tackle. He's like,
Yeah.
if he wants to play it, great. He's like, but because of everything that's happened
I'm,
the last, decade,
I'm more
it's like,
borderline
no.
on not allowing Ben to play tackle football until like I
Yeah,
can't stop him anymore, right? Like it's almost
yeah,
like I'll let him if he wants to keep playing flag football and like that's his thing and he wants to play flag football, that's great. Um, but I don't think I'm going to let him play tackle football until I can't keep him from playing it any longer, right? Like
right.
if he gets to middle school and he wants to join the middle school tackle football team and he's like, this is what I want to do. I don't know if I'll be able to stop him, but like I'm pretty borderline on like no tackling until I can't
Yeah,
anymore, right?
yeah. I think that makes sense. And when you get to that point, it's like it's almost like you got to sit down and have the conversation um, with him, like, hey, we can, but here's kind of some of the long-term risks that come with tackle football
Yeah.
nowadays.
I mean, this is a side story, but like I knocked myself out in 7th grade playing tackle football. Like
Oh, really?
because we would do these drills where one person had the ball, one person had to tackle them, right? And I went
Yeah.
head to head with this kid, literally head to head, and we knocked each
Ugh.
other out. Um, another short kid, stocky kid, just like me. Of course it was. Um,
Right.
and so like anytime you get knocked out, you have a mild concussion. That they've
Yeah.
learned that in studies, right? Back in the day, they'd be oh, get up, dust it off, and walk it out, and then you'll be fine, right? Now we know anytime you get knocked out, you have a mild concussion, and so like things like this are things that we know, and it's like yeah, you have to have that conversation. The same, it's a similar but different conversation, but like my dad has asked me a few times, like you're gonna get the boys into like youth wrestling because you wrestled like a lot growing up, you loved wrestling and things like that. And I've said
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think unless they obviously it's different if they come and they ask like, hey, my friend's wrestling and I want to join the wrestling team, things like that. But like what I did to my body wrestling growing up is not healthy, and I'm still paying repercussions of it now. Like
Yeah.
my digestive system is not nearly what a normal healthy human being should
Right.
be. Um, and so put aside the mental impacts that I had from it. So it's things like that of like we just know so much more now, and it's this balance I want to walk of like I don't want to stop the kids from doing something, but
Right.
I also don't want them to like feel like they have to do something, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. It's interesting. And like I said, right now, my kids, they're not actively doing things, but
Hmm.
they're talking about it. And thank God it's at least spring now, so that way they can
Yeah,
at least be out. Like we can go to playgrounds and stuff and play, which is nice. But I do want to get them involved in something just to like have them have social interactions. Kayla and I talked about this last week or this week with
hmm,
Cora. Like, she's gonna be done with school soon. She doesn't go to daycare in the summer. She
yeah.
goes and is with our parents. And it's like, how do we keep up a routine of her staying socially active?
Have you noticed differences like on weekends or on breaks and things like that on her like let me rephrase that. Ben over like spring break and winter breaks was super restless. Like super restless
Yes.
throughout the day. And
Yeah.
you could just like he's starting to get that even though Ben only goes to half days, that's 3 hours every day that he's playing with his friends and doing art and doing, going outside and all that kind of stuff. And especially the winter break when we had that giant snowstorm during the winter break. It's like
Yeah.
we are locked in a house with just us, and he just got super restless about it, like crazy
Yeah.
restless.
Yeah. That definitely happens to Cora. She gets bored. Yeah, she just gets so restless and is like so antsy. And even like, I don't want to like not acting out, but like just being a little bit more stubborn, you know, just because she has that restlessness and
Yeah.
that not anxiety, but just that like pent up need to
Energy,
move.
right? It's just pent up.
Yeah.
It's the same. I try. I'm saying all this 2 months removed from when it actually happened, and I know I did not react the appropriate way when it happened, right? Because it's so hard in the moment to remember all these things. But but right, as parents, we know, like, oh, he's pent up. Kids are not good at directing their energy in productive places, right? They're just not.
Yeah.
And excuse me. And on top of that, when kids are restless, they get naughty, right? That's just
Yeah.
how it happens. And so it's that same thing of like wanting to make sure that we have a an outlet. Luckily for us, Katie's home all summer, right? So like a lot of times
Yeah.
like we and so the boys Katie's sister's kids live close as well. So we find time to
Right.
like get together with them and they can run and get their energy out. Um and but yeah, it's difficult. It's really difficult, especially like if you don't have things. Ben's going to camp for a week this summer at the zoo, which would be really cool.
Oh, okay,
Um,
cool.
Not overnight camp, obviously,
Right.
just day camp, but like you can do a week at day camp with one of his friends at the zoo, which would be great. So like little things like this and that are will be helpful, but yeah, it's absolutely crazy to see the difference of like when they're home without school versus when they have school.
Yeah, yeah, it's wild. It is a an interesting time for them. Uh and I gotta imagine summer, hopefully with Cora we can find something to do, be outside, but definitely at least like stay connected to her friends' parents so that way be like, hey, we're not doing anything this
Yes.
Friday. Let's go to the park or whatever.
Yeah, Ben has a
Yeah.
best friend, Jack. We've started to become close with Jack's parents.
Oh,
Because
that's cool.
they have a little boy that's roughly or a little bit younger than Will, but um enough that like all four boys can kind of like go out and run together. Which is
That's
nice.
cool.
Go to the zoo a
That's
lot
cool.
because it's the easiest thing for us.
Right. Yeah. Um, well, I just want to real quick touch on because we've been talking about our kids for 45 minutes
I know
already.
it. Look at that.
It's crazy. I got to see Parker
You did.
uh before we jumped on. She real cute. And you're gonna leave next week.
I am. I am. So I have to go to work in DC next week. Um
Yeah.
we actually briefly talked about making a road trip out of it, and having them all come with and like spending some time in DC since Katie's off school. Um, and after we talked about it and I looked at my work schedule, I was like, oh, there's no way. I'm
Yeah.
booked from 8 till 6 most nights. Like, there's just no way. Um, and so we I will be leaving Monday morning, flying home Thursday night late. Um, and so it's gonna be a test. We were talking so as I mentioned, Parker is not sleeping by herself. And
Yeah.
so Katie and I take turns sleeping on the couch throughout the night and doing that. It's annoying because she sleeps super well. Like crazy compared to the
Yeah.
boys. Like at 6 weeks, she'll sleep 5 hour chunks, which
Crazy.
would be great if she did it by herself
Right.
in her bed.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great when she doesn't because then we don't have to like Katie can actually go get sleep and not have to wake up, every two
Yeah.
hours or every 45 minutes like Ben. But it's yeah, she's not sleeping by herself just yet, so we are working on that constantly. And that makes it hard. Like tonight, you guys are going out, um, and it's like if I were to leave during bedtime, Katie can't just put a kid to bed and then put the next kids to bed and like have normal time
Yeah.
because you have to constantly hold the baby while she's asleep. And it's like this is it's it's wild. We're getting to the end of like all right, we just got to make some kind of change to make this happen. She's a little bit I think I've talked about this. She has a little bit of reflux. It's
Yeah.
not it's not a oh she pukes after every meal kind of reflux, which some babies have. Um but it's enough that like if she's upright, she's okay. If she's laying down, she doesn't feel good.
Right.
Um, Super fun because that means she just always has to be upright all the time. Um,
Jeez.
we were actually talking. They make some baby chairs that sit them like almost vertical.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know if you've seen those, but like they're much better. The chair that we have is like a lounger, like a laying down chair that Ben used to
Yeah.
sleep in all the time when he was a baby. And it was super helpful when he would do that. But yeah, Parker just has to be upright and laying on you. Um, and it's been a challenge. It's been tough. I mean, it's crazy to say. The shock from going to 1 to 2 is not nearly the shock going from 2 to 3. It's just not.
Yeah, and I want to do a whole episode on that,
Yeah.
which I was gonna do this, but then we got into independent play and whatnot. I, I could imagine that that difference definitely isn't as harsh between two
Yeah.
and three.
I was
At least not yet.
I think I probably brought it up when we talked last week, but it really is just statistics of like going from like a 100% increase in workload, right? Where you go from taking care of one kid to doubling it to taking care of two. But going from
Yeah.
2 to 3 is only about a 33% increase in workload.
You nerd.
It is statistics, Joe. It's just statistics because it really is like there's so much chaos happening already, and your
Yeah.
entire it's different for everybody, and I'll always caveat that it's always different for everybody. But for me, it was all about learning when I could find time for my stuff. Right? When can I find time
Right.
for my stuff? Because as when you have one kid, if and I was talking about this the other day, but like I used to play this video game called Destiny a lot. When we just had
Yeah.
Ben, I could log on like a Saturday afternoon and just be like, "Hey, Katie, can I have the afternoon? I'll take Ben tomorrow and give you the afternoon on Sunday afternoon. Just give me Saturday afternoon so I can do this thing with my friends and get online and game with my friends." Right.
Yeah.
Then after we had two kids, I tried that once when we had two kids. It's like, oh, this is not going to work. This just isn't like trying to take care of both kids at the same time all afternoon, like especially when Will was little, right? Babies are so
Right.
much harder. You're like, oh, this just isn't gonna work. Like I work all day and then I'm gonna take another of the 2 days that I can help and take a half of that day to go do something else. It's like I just can't do it, right? And so you learn very quickly what you can and can't do. Then when you add a third one in, you've already learned all those lessons. I'm
Yeah.
not even attempting that anymore, right? I'm not even like thinking that I can. You're just kind of like, for lack of a better term, succumbing to the chaos, right? Just let the chaos wash
Yeah.
over you because that's what it is. It's just like, well, it's crazy. Right now, like finding time to even pick up and clean the house is tough because, like I said, the baby doesn't sleep by herself. So, like,
Yeah.
one person either has to be cleaning or holding the baby. And, like, if one person can't clean and the other person's holding the baby, then like, it just doesn't happen, right? So, like, just finding time for little things like that, but you're so used to the chaos of making those trade-offs, you're just like, all right, whatever. Like it just is what it is, right?
Yeah.
And
And
so,
I think that that's parenting overall.
yeah, just succumbing to the chaos. Just let it.
Yeah, it's tough because I mean I feel the same thing and it's even harder now like harder and easier doing this 50-50 thing,
Yeah,
you know. The weeks that I have them, I'm full on dad
all the time.
24/7,
Yep,
right? There's not that respite that I get here and there until they go to bed at like 9:30,
right. When
you
you're
know.
tired and want to go to bed. Yeah.
Right. Lately that's been filled with blueprints.
Uh,
What a game.
What a game.
Um but then these weeks where I don't have them, I have these moments to like have that chaos dull down and I can clean and it's like so I let them go crazy for a week and I pick up here and there but it's like man like these toys are just going to be in my living room anyway
I'll
like I
just
might as well just
I'll just clean it
leave
next
them.
week. Yep.
Exactly. So my chaos isn't as chaotic,
Yeah.
you know,
Yep.
the weeks I don't. But this week there was mice in this house and I kept finding like poop around last week
Mm,
with the kids here and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I caught 2 mice.
how many times have I told you you need to get a cat?
Man,
You need to get a cat. Joe, just get a cat or two cats to run around that house.
and then what are they gonna do? Eat these mice?
Yeah.
Bring dead mice around the house?
No, they will catch the mice. And most of the time this is not going to be a great sell. But most of the time, they don't even kill it. They just catch it and trap it in a corner, and then you get the mouse.
Ah, so it's like a hunting cat.
This is what I'm telling you. You got to get a cat. Don't get my cat. My cat is fully and utterly useless and domesticated. My cat grew up in a frat house. She doesn't know how to catch mice if one bit her on the tail.
No, but I'll tell you what, she can catch an ice
That's true.
real easy.
She
you
knows
know?
knows exactly how to take care of that. Would do it immediately. My cat's lived a sheltered and pampered life. What you need to do is rescue a couple of street cats. Go to your local shelter, find a couple of street cats, and then have some street cats running around your house that still have a little bit of hunting instinct in them.
Yeah, there you go.
And
You
then
know what? That's a good call.
you also have cuddlers for whenever you need them.
Yeah. Or what if I get an owl?
I mean, sure, you could get an owl, Joe. You're going to go through the licensing process of getting a wild animal? Come on.
Of course not.
Come
I'm just
on.
gonna let it in the house.
And you're going to have bird poop everywhere, all over the place.
I've already got mouse poop everywhere.
The little pellets that they regurgitate from their whatever that's
Yeah.
called.
The bolus.
Yeah. No, you don't need
Uh,
that.
I don't need that. But I caught 2 mice, and I'm hoping to God there's no more mice. That's the chaos that's been happening this week, is trying to hunt down these mice. But I got them.
See, you live in the country, so you get mice. I live in the city, we
Yeah.
get rats.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
get
I don't
rats.
need that.
They're not in the house. We don't get rats in the house, but they do get into our car, and we have to do some things to mitigate that, which is very annoying.
Ew.
We drive. Not gonna trash talk the brand. Our brand of car uses a soy-based liner on the wires.
Oh my God.
So this is only a problem for our brand of car because they want to be sustainable.
You could guess which brand that is.
Absolutely. I gave plenty of context clues to let you know what brand of car does this. And it sucks because I love this brand of car. I love these cars. I love the company itself. Just sucks that it leads to the fact that we get rats in our car because of this. It's just annoying.
You know what? Gotta get a snake.
I'm not getting a snake. Maybe that's what you need. Maybe you should get a snake to catch some mice.
I should get a snake. That's not a bad idea.
But then you'd have to let the
Good
snake
thinking.
roam free in your house to catch some
Oh
mice.
God.
Yeah.
I just nailed my desk. That's fine. I can let the snake just roam around. Whatever.
You and I
I'm cool with that.
warm, cuddly, furry cats, long, slithery, cold snake. You and I have much different preferences on mice hunters in the animal kingdom.
That's true. That's true. Well, hey man, what if we let these people go?
Let's get out of here.
Let's get out of here. Thank you all so much for listening. We really appreciate you. If you haven't already, shoot us an email, bigdataenergypod@gmail.com. Like, comment, rate, review, subscribe, all that good nonsense at every platform you can think of, because that would be helpful. We're trying to make a comeback here. And football season's going to be here soon. So Jared and I are going to have lots of football talks. The draft was last night.
Well, draft's all weekend. First round of the draft was last night.
First round was last night. And I sat and listened to it all because I'm a changed man now.
I'm proud of you. I also watched the whole thing.
Yeah, I was doom scrolling while I listened. But yeah, thank you all so much for listening. We really appreciate you. And thank you to Planet Ant for having us on their podcast network.
If you haven't yet, go follow us on social media. We're at Big Data Energy Podcast on Instagram and YouTube. Drop us a like, rate, subscribe, all that stuff. If you're not watching on YouTube, you should. You should be watching on YouTube. We put up beautiful videos of Joe and I's face every week, or I shouldn't say every week anymore. Every time we record. We have big plans for the YouTube coming up as soon as my life becomes a little less chaotic. Joe and I would like to do more game streaming and things like that on the YouTube channel. There's a couple really good co-op games that we'd like to give a try. So go follow us there. Subscribe and all that good stuff there. And thank you guys again for listening. We really appreciate it. Every time you come back, it just helps us drive this to do a little bit more and a little bit more. So thank you guys so much. For both of us, I'm Jared Schmansky.
I'm Joe Lopez.
Remember, click your tongues twice before you use them.
Dads.
This has been a production of Planet Ant Podcast, powered by Pinecast.